He's host.
Seated, thank you.
Ready to rock and roll.
Okay, and do I have sharing rights?
I think you have to try to share something, and then it usually sends me a message to give you
Okay, right, right.
access.
Good. Okay. And you're joining us from the field again, I see.
We are out killing barberry.
That's a fight well fought. Thank you. All right, everyone. Good evening. I'm Christopher Destin, Chair of the Thompson and Wetlands Commission. I'm calling the July 14th, 2026 meeting of the Commission to order at 6:31 p.m. Today is Bastille Day for those of you who celebrate that. We are meeting via Zoom and we'll be following our regular protocol, which means that this meeting is being recorded for audio and visual content under the control of the Zoom host. For sound quality, the general rule is that everyone will remain muted except when speaking. Commissioners and staff will generally remain muted except when speaking or voting, and will generally have their video turned on throughout the meeting. Applicants, their representatives, and the public may leave their video on or off, but are asked to turn their video on when speaking. That said, no one for whom video is not an option will be precluded from speaking at the appropriate time. All participants must state their name for the record each and every time they speak. Please raise your hand on video or by using the raise your hand feature located at the bottom of your screen to let me know that you wish to speak and I'll recognize you. Please don't speak until you're recognized. If your hand is raised and I fail to see it, which I sometimes do when I'm busy sharing my screen, you may signal to me verbally that you wish to speak. Members of the general public may only speak during those portions of the meeting set aside on the agenda for citizens' comments. Individual applicants, permittees, and violators whose names appear on the agenda and/or their representatives will be invited to speak when that agenda item is discussed. I have to remind everyone that if anyone in attendance speaks out of turn in a disruptive or inappropriate manner for an inordinate length of time or in any way that interferes with the orderly conduct of this meeting, they may be prevented from doing so and, if necessary, removed from the meeting at my discretion. Those are the preliminaries. I'll now call the roll. Commissioner Corso.
Commissioner Corso is present.
Thank you. Commissioner Langer.
Present.
Commissioner Morano.
Present.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Obert.
I'm present.
Wonderful. Staff members present this evening include Margaret Washburn, the Wetlands Enforcement Officer. Gloria Harvey, our recording secretary, is here. I don't think we have any other staff members in attendance. We do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is the seating of alternates. Robert Mooney is our alternate member. Commissioner Mooney, are you present?
Yes, I am present.
Are present, wonderful. Sad to say, since all regular members of the commission are present at this meeting, you will not be seated. But that doesn't mean you can fall asleep, or
Yes.
means you are pursuant to the bylaws. Unseated alternates may participate in discussion. You just can't vote. So do pay attention, please. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the June 9th, 2026 regular meeting. And so now it is share screen time. So I'm going to do this and I'll send the request. Request has been sent. I'm going to close that out. And
All right, you should be allowed to share now.
okay, thank you. Uh-oh, what did I do? I don't need that. What I do need is this. Okay, and okay. Wonderful. All right, and that's okay. Okay. Now, I know this isn't very large, but this is the point at which I ask whether commission members or staff wish to offer any corrections to these minutes. If so, I can zoom in. No corrections, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 9th, 2026 regular meeting as written.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 9th meeting as written.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Do I have a second on that?
Commissioner Corso will second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Corso. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes of the June 9th, 2026 regular meeting are accepted and approved as written. We have no minutes for special meetings tonight, so we can move directly to the next item on the agenda, which is citizens' comments on agenda items. And this is an opportunity for members of the general public, other than applicants, violators, or their representatives, to inform the commission of any questions, concerns, or observations relating to specific agenda items. It's not intended as an open, there we go. It is not intended as an open discussion with or among commission members. Speaking time is generally limited to 3 minutes. Further discussion of these items by commission members will be reserved for those portions of the meeting specified on the agenda. Are there any comments on agenda items that members of the general public would like to share at this time? Oh, that's right. If not, the commission will now consider applications previously received, or what we call old applications. And at this point, I will remind commissioners of the need to state for the record their reasons for any votes they cast. This is required for any matter upon which the commission may act. To facilitate this, we'll continue our convention of roll call votes for substantive matters. Excuse me. The first and only old application we have to consider this evening is WAA 26012, Justice Resource Institute, 75 Church Street, map 67, block 102, lot 9G, application for work in the 100-foot upland review area, including after-the-fact construction of a bond and gravel parking lot with associated space under VIOL 25071. Also, an application for proposed driveway and associated grading. I don't know if there's anyone here this evening to represent this project. My understanding is that all that is missing is NDDH approval for the barn and water line.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Daniel Blanchette here for the applicant.
You are here, great. Do you have anything more to, I know you may have a lot of talking to do tonight. Is there anything, can you update us on the status of this?
Yeah, you're exactly correct, Mr. Chairman. We're still waiting on the health department. They need a B100A permit for a new structure. The health department asked for a set of floor plans for the building. They asked us to show the water lines for the well. And so we have submitted revised plans, but we do not have health department approval at this time.
Okay, well, we look forward to that for our meeting in August, and we will need an extension. Is that correct, Margaret, until then?
That's correct. And I have a question. If I could please ask Daniel, this is Margaret. Is the water line shown on this plan?
It is not. No, I might not have submitted the very latest plan to the Wetland Commission. I was waiting for health department approval. You know, the well is 500 feet to the north. And so the well is not visible, but I did add a line that shows the approximate location of the water line from the well. And I'll be happy to submit that to the commission once we have health department approval.
Thank you. And I guess is Mr. Pfeiffer willing to submit to another extension, please?
I'd appreciate that, Margaret, if we could.
Mr. Pfeiffer, great.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
30-day extension.
We'll move forward with this. We hope. It'd be good to get it on its way. The next item on the agenda is IWA 26028. These are new applications, I should emphasize. Kyle Bast and Westerbach Rep, 0 Lakeside Drive, map 143, block 16, lot B. Construct a 6-foot by 12-foot deck on cinder blocks and wetlands and FEMA floodway bordering aquatic reservoir. Attach a floating dock. I believe that Mr. Bast is with us, and I know that Daniel is. So is there someone out there who would like to speak to this project?
Yes, I could. Is the applicant here? Oh, yeah. I see Kyle. Yeah. No. Yeah. Let me speak for a couple minutes if you don't mind. So yeah, I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant Kyle Bast. Kyle owns 2 lots off Lakeside Drive, kind of towards, I guess, the southeast of Quadic Lake. The commission might recall we had submitted an earlier application. I believe it was a wetland agent approval to construct basically a gravel driveway and a deck, so that way they could bring in their RV and they could kind of, do some recreation here over the summer while they're working on building the real house. And so we had a previous wetland agent approval application, I believe. In front of the commission this evening is an application to construct a wood deck or platform right on the shoreline where he can connect a dock and have access to his boat.
That is right there.
Yes, sir. And I'll mention briefly, the flood zone. The flood zone does come into the property. It's at elevation 405.9. So the flood zone does come up a couple feet above the water. And so if you could zoom in to the cross section, please, on the bottom right.
Let's see if I can get. The bottom right.
Bottom right, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cross section.
Okay. So next page, in other words.
No, this page over there. You
Over
go.
here. Right.
Bottom right, please.
Okay, there we go. Right
Thank
there.
you, sir. Yep, perfect.
So for the benefit of the commissioners who may not have reviewed all of the Zoom docs here, an issue would be that if there is new construction within the floodway, then a hydrological analysis is required to show that, I suppose, the displacement of any floodwaters would be compensated for or wouldn't go elsewhere where it was unwelcome. But having spoken to you about this, Daniel, you want to point out that the deck is raised on those cinder blocks. So the cinder blocks, the deck itself is not in the floodway. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, the proposal is basically to have some concrete blocks with a wood deck sitting on top. In regards to the flood issue, I'm sure the commission is aware you're not allowed to build a house within the flood zone. You're not supposed to put fill or earth within the flood zone because it can cause problems downstream. In this case, I think our proposal is in accordance with the guidelines. The deck itself is pretty much above the flood zone. There's really no fill within the flood zone other than some concrete blocks. The other concern is, especially on a river, if there was a flood, if the structure could float downstream and damage other properties, other bridges. And in this case, I would suggest, Quadic doesn't have a strong current. And so even if there was a flood, I don't really expect the deck to, get ripped downstream. We had a site walk today with Chairman and Margaret. Margaret had a great comment about trying to anchor down the deck, which I think is an excellent suggestion. I don't think the commission can approve us this evening. And so
no, that's right. That's right. Because this is individual. It's no longer a wetlands agent approval. So
correct.
We would
Correct.
receive it this evening.
And so I'm proposing to submit a revised plan that includes some kind of anchoring for the deck just to prevent any floating. And again, we're not expecting approval this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I guess this is Margaret. One other change we discussed today was both on the application and the plan to please show that it's not a floating dock anymore. It's got legs.
Yep, you are correct. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, originally we had a floating dock, and the applicant would now like to have a dock that's removable in the winter but is not floating.
And while we're getting into the weeds, no pun intended, so some further detail. We now know what the dimensions of the deck, of the dock will be, and it might be helpful to include that on the plan. And I didn't want to be juggling Zoom docs here, but I gathered from your inspection report, Margaret, that you would also appreciate a little more, how shall I say, some more specifics about what vegetation will remain and what will be removed as the dock is constructed, because we did note that there was some cutting of wetland vegetation, and that was a concern.
Absolutely. No, I can definitely update my plan to reflect that.
Okay.
I have a question about the dock.
Please,
Is it
Robert.
now going to have legs, or is it going to have like a wall underneath it? How's it going to be? Can we have more detail on the construction of the support for the platform?
I
Yeah,
can show
so
you a
I-
picture, Commissioner Robert. But Daniel, you can please go.
Yeah, I was actually going to turn it over to the applicant, Kyle. He knows more information about the specific dock you would like. Are you here, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm here. I showed or sent Margaret a picture of pretty much an exact replica of the dock that we were looking at. So it's aluminum dock, and it's just got it'll be 4 legs in the water. It's just 2-inch by 2-inch steel posts that go down on
Okay.
on a small, probably like 6x6 platform.
So the detail here that says cinder block is incorrect. You're going to use steel posts.
Oh, sorry.
No, the cinder block is for the deck itself. So the 6x12 deck that's parallel to the water, that's on cinder blocks. When we put the 24-foot dock out there, the posts that hold the dock up out of the water are on like 2x2-inch steel posts that rest on probably a 6x6-inch flat metal base to it. I sent that picture to Margaret yesterday. She might have that.
This is Margaret. I think, Chris, if you look through the last 3 Zoom docs, it should be in one of those.
The last on which volume?
There's a 4, 5, and 6 were the last 3.
Yeah.
It should be in one of those.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Got it. Okay. All right.
That's pretty much it. Yep.
So that shows perpendicular poles and not cinder blocks.
Right. This is the dock that's going to go into the water. This just happens to be a good picture of it that's out of the water.
Okay.
The
So
deck on land is going to be perpendicular to that, parallel to the water line.
so back up, because on the drawing that we just looked at, it says that there's going to be cinder blocks in the water to hold the edge of the dock.
That's correct. My site plan at the moment does not show a dock. It only shows the deck that will be constructed on land.
Okay.
So-
When you include this information, you know what kinds of details. I'm only thinking about what will be in the water, and I know it's not as much. It's like right at the extreme edge of any concerns that we have, but some of it's going in the water, and you're right. Not a lot of high current through there. It's just because it's going in the water. I'd like to see the detail to that construction on the plan.
Absolutely. No, that's a great comment, and I will definitely update my plans accordingly.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey, Daniel, let's talk about that. I wasn't thinking about the deck overhanging into the water and cinder blocks in the water, but we can fine tune that for the next round, which you submit to the committee.
Exactly. Yeah. No, Kyle and I will have some discussions in the near future and submit some revised plans for the following meeting in August.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you both. So we look forward to seeing you then. And good luck with this.
So, quite a question for the committee then. If this doesn't come back up till August, is this something that gets approved in August and I can move forward in August? Or is it approved in August, then needs another 30 days of potential community feedback before I can move forward, then not till September?
This is Margaret. There's a 15-day appeal period once the legal notice shows up in the newspaper that it got approved. So that's the only delay. And if you start work during that appeal period, it would just be on your head if anybody was to appeal, and chances of that are extremely low.
So is that clear, Kyle, that once if we approve this, and I think our meeting date in August is August 9th, Margaret is saying that technically you would need to wait 15 days, but given the unlikelihood that there would be an appeal, you could.
It's 15 days after the legal notice is published in the
And legal
newspaper.
notice, thank you. Yeah.
And so, appeals almost never happen. So if you go ahead and put the doc in and anyone were to appeal, it would be on you to sort that out.
Right. Okay.
But if you're confident it will not be controversial, then
Is the committee confident it won't be controversial to get passed?
well, I think what Margaret, I mean, from our point of view, I think if we have a more detailed plan, right, that's promising. I'm not hearing any other issue tonight.
Yeah. Give me a call tomorrow, Kyle. We can discuss.
Whether you have neighbors who get upset is not something we can say anything about.
All right. I know you got a busy agenda, so I'll let you get on with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yep.
The next item on the agenda is WAA 26029. This is Matt and Christine Stad, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And thank you. Lot Q septic repair partially in the 100-foot upland review area. Now this, Margaret, I take it has already been approved. Is that right?
This is Margaret. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, so there were no issues here. The next item on the agenda to move it along is WAA 26030, 372 Riverside Drive LLC, 372 Riverside Drive, map 85, block 95, lot 36A, after the fact wetlands agent approval for after the fact site work in the 100-foot upland review area to the French River, including construction of an ADA ramp, sonotubes for a deck, trenching and backfilling a well line, a 14 by 20-foot addition on a slab, and a 20-foot by 25-foot smokehouse on a slab, sediment controls, and landscaping. This one has been on our desk for a while, but my understanding is that Margaret conducted an inspection, that the erosion sediment controls are all are satisfactory. There is the installation of landscape fabric and crushed stone, which I gather has begun and will continue. And our wetlands enforcement officer was satisfied and he issued the wetland agent approval. Have I got that right?
Yes, this is Margaret. If you might want to just scroll down while we were on it and show people the pictures of what you're talking about here from the inspection and the
I can't talk and scroll at the same time. It's a problem I have.
Margaret, I've been looking at those photos and I don't see any hail bays at the at the edge of
there are no hay bales there.
We don't think that there's likely to be any erosion off the.
There was a little bit of silt fence, but if you go to can you go to the inspection report pictures, please?
And that's in volume 2, right? I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There was silt fence, and he was expecting to be able to take the silt fence down the next day because the landscaping was going to be complete right up to the edge of the silt fence with the fabric and the stone. So I didn't see any potential erosion issues as soon as they get that last bit of fabric and stone installed, which was going to happen the day after I left.
Okay, here we go. And there's what it looks like. I can.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I was noticing. It's right there at the edge of the.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of that's crushed stone migrating off those the fabric.
But they're going to take the fabric out.
Yeah, they were going to take it out the next day. It seemed like, especially behind the smokehouse, it seemed like more of a tripping hazard than anything. I mean, I think the site was stabilized, to my satisfaction.
There are two kinds of fabric here, though, right? There's the fabric that forms the erosion and sediment control, and then there's landscape fabric beneath the crushed stone. and
Yeah.
that helped to stabilize the stone.
If you keep going, you'll see some more pictures,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
No.
I need to do this. Oh, no, I think
I
that's
have to see one more after that, and that's
There should be a picture of behind the smokehouse, but
there you go.
there it is. So all that was going to get stabilized too the next day, and I trusted him. I felt like I developed a relationship where I could. Jared Hanshaw was going to follow through, and I think everything's going to be okay. And you can all go there and um, walk through the property and maybe taste some of the goodies they have on sale there.
It is looking a lot better, I will say. And
I've already had some of their pulled pork, and I've also looked at the site, but now I got to go back and look at it again.
So the only thing that is remaining is later on tonight when we get to violations, is you folks can close the show cause hearing.
yes,
Aside from that, this one's done.
I have a note of that. Okay.
And
Thank
Jared
you.
said to say thank you to all of the commission for their patience and assistance getting through this.
Yeah, well, and I will thank you too, Margaret, because you put a lot of work into this one. I know there was a lot of back and forth. Let me see. Am I sharing? Can everyone, are we back to volume?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. All right. So we're going to move on to WAA 26031. This is DH Copeland Builders, 500 Quadic Road, map 143, block 16, lot 6A, after the fact approval for a 12-foot by 28-foot shed in the upland review area. Now, I don't know if Mr. Baffle is here tonight. We have a site plan, and Margaret, my understanding is that you are prepared to approve pending an inspection on the 16th. Is that correct? Did I lose you?
Margaret has muted her phone.
Oh,
there you go.
nobody's attending tonight because they know they're just dealing with me, and the shed's already there, and I expect to issue. And as I had emailed you for your permission after I do this inspection, I anticipate the site to be stable, and there's also an addition being built, but that's outside the upland review area.
Right. I had a question. The existing shed, is that going to remain or is that being taken away?
It's going to stay.
Okay, so it's like Shed City down there. Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is WAA 26032. This is Crystal Fifield. 0, if I'm saying that incorrectly, forgive me, 0 Oak Avenue and 0 Elm Avenue, map 116, block 11, lots 2 and 67. Construct a 56 by 36 foot single-story wood frame garage in the upland review area. And I think, Margaret, there was some issue here about the plan, like whether the plan we received was sufficient. It sounds like you're waiting for
We haven't received the plan.
If I could chime in real quick, Daniel Blanchett again for the applicant. They have hired me to produce a real survey and site plan.
Wonderful.
And so hopefully I'll be able to submit that for the August meeting.
Okay, excellent. And again, this is a wetland agent approval. So.
Daniel, as of yesterday or today, they told me that Paul Archer was producing the plan. Has that changed?
That's new to me. They're on my schedule, so that's interesting.
They said Archer was going to have a plan Monday, so you might want to check in with him.
I will definitely check in with them.
Some things are inescapable, Daniel.
Yeah, they're on my to-do list. I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's not as if you don't have a lot on your to-do list, but I hate to see you lose business.
Right.
All right. So we'll wait on that one. I believe that Okay, the next item on the agenda, I would have to shift Zoom docs, but this is IWA 26033. This is Carlos R. Ferreira, 1036 and 0 Thompson Road, map 118, block 29, lots 17C and 17A, remediation of wetlands and watercourse altered without a permit. So our understanding, Daniel, is that we don't have the most recent plan from you. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. I had uploaded the incorrect plan by accident, which is totally my mistake. I apologize.
That's all right.
But if I
please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So again, I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant to resolve some violations that were performed probably almost a year ago. I will preface this by saying, again, we don't expect approval this evening. This is just for discussion. And in speaking with Margaret, I suspect the commission will want to conduct a site walk here. I know we had done a site walk, I think, with Margaret, with the chairman, 9 months ago, a long time ago. And then we were on hold for a while because of the winter. So some of you, possibly Charlie was there as well. But again, it was a long time ago. This is a complicated project, a lot of moving parts. I suspect the commission will want to hold a site walk. And if I could request, I know a lot of times the commission holds site walks like just before the next meeting in August. And if possible, I would love to get a site walk done ASAP, because that'll give me a lot more time to revise my plans accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I've got just one comment on the plans that I did see, and also on the application, is that there's 2 lots where work was done there, and you've only, as far as I could see, you've only applied under one of the 2 lot at site addresses. And don't forget that there's a 0 with a separate map block and lot number, so it should be both 1036 and 0 Thompson Road on the application and on the plan.
Yes, ma'am, that's absolutely correct. I will update my plans. If I could just, could we pull up the site plan maybe?
The most recent one?
Yeah, whatever you have.
I think that will be, this is your letter.
Yeah, so sorry, go ahead.
Can Daniel share the plan that he meant to upload after we look at this?
The real plan?
Yeah.
If he's prepared to do that, I'm fine with that.
Yes, right, I'm prepared.
Interrupt.
All right, then I will stop.
All right, so again, I've submitted a lot of documents to the commission. I've submitted a project narrative, pictures, a report from our soil scientist. I would encourage everyone to review that. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. It's not letting me share my screen at the moment. Maybe I need permission, or...
You did, Commissioner Corso has to get, is it telling you need permission?
Yeah, the little option for share is grayed out. I can't click on the share button.
I will see what I have available. Usually you request permission and I am able to do it, but I will see if there is a way for me to more proactively give you permission.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, right now it's not letting me.
And I hate to make you do this off the top of your head. Well, I'm not making you do it, but Daniel, if you could summarize for the commissioners the gist of your report, right?
Yes.
How all of this works out, and what in your view is permitted as of right, and what essentially the remediation strategy is going to be.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, the site is located at 1036 Thompson Road. It's a little bit of an unusual site. There's an acre or 2 of upland next to the road, and then there's a large portion of wetlands, roughly 9 acres, about 800 feet long, and then there's some more uplands on the far west side. The property does have a stream that passes through the wetlands, Jansen Brook. The property also contains a pond. The applicant has some agriculture, some livestock, some geese and ducks and peacocks and stuff like that. And so I think, you could make an argument that a lot of the work would be permitted by right due to agriculture. And in my opinion, the main issue is the trail. The applicant built a trail to cross 800 feet of wetlands to access the dry land on the other side of his property. And that's definitely not permitted by right. And so, at the end of the day, the applicant had about 9,000 square feet of a wetland disturbance. And with my proposed mitigation and restoration plan, essentially we'll cut that in half to stay under the 5,000 square feet limit, which would trigger an Army Corps permit. And so, in terms of the pond was excavated. It was made deeper. Some of that sediment may have been put in the uplands. It's hard for me to quantify an area or volume of that, but we suspect that some material from the pond was placed in wetlands. There was also...
I'm sorry to interrupt, Daniel.
No, of course.
Until you get permission to share, I'm showing us the plan you sent us.
Yes.
Daniel, I've made some changes to our sharing settings. If you want to try to share again, let's see if that will
I'll stop then.
allow
Absolutely.
you to.
All right. Let's take another crack at that.
Commissioner Corso, every time we see you, you're in a new location.
I am a magician.
You're shape-shifting or something like that.
This appears to be successful.
Yeah, can anyone see that?
We
Yeah.
see a map with 4 blocks, now a map, so I think you're good.
All right, terrific. Let me see if I can figure out how to work this.
This is Margaret. Someone
Too much.
has a lot of background noise. It sounds like weed whacking or a buzzsaw or something like that.
That's my fault. Yeah, I have a neighbor who's running a chainsaw just outside my window.
I thought it might have been
Okay.
Commissioner Corso doing a little work on the side there. You said you're a magician.
I've put my 14 hours in today. I don't need any more change on.
I'm sure.
I got a question, if you don't mind. Does this plan going to show the third channel, the westernmost channel?
I thought it was my understanding there's only 2 channels. There's the main channel of Jansen Brook, shown here towards the left-hand side, and a second channel more towards the right.
Oh, okay. I get it.
And so again, just to run through it real briefly, here's the pond, and I'll shade this with colors for the next meeting. I know it's a very busy plan. There's a lot going on. So there's a pond here that was excavated or dredged. We suspect maybe some material was deposited here. But again, I have a hard time quantifying that since I don't know what was there a year or 2 ago. And then you'll see the applicant built some trails here. There's one trail here, and then there's another trail to the north to cross the wetlands. The applicant's original idea was to do a loop with 2 wetland crossings, and we told him, basically absolutely not. You got to have one trail out there. And so if we're following this trail down, you'll see there's one water course here with an existing wooden bridge. And then there's another channel here. I believe that's the main part of Jansen Brook, but it's hard to say for certain. And then you can see here the upland area where the applicant would like to harvest firewood and construct an orchard. And so I think he has a good reason to cross the wetlands. We are proposing 2 bridges over either water course, which I have some details I can show you in a moment. And so again, so the northern trail is going to be totally removed. The southern trail we're going to make narrower. At the moment, it's about 8 feet wide, and we're proposing to make it about 6 feet wide. The applicant does have a small skid steer that he'd like to use. So it has to be a little bit more than a footpath to get his firewood. It's going to be about a 6 foot wide trail. The other big thing is, it's taking forever. So if you look at the pond, there's no outlet structure. There's the pond. The applicant hardened the shoreline with rocks, and then you can see the trail just coming just below the pond. There's another small pond here to the south that I don't think has been disturbed. And my big concern was there was no outlet structure. The trail kind of acts like a dam. And so you can imagine during big flood events, there's a concern that this could all kind of wash out or erode. And so I'm proposing a culvert, like a high level culvert, again, to capture any extra runoff during a flood event. The pond doesn't really have a water course coming into it. All the water courses are quite a bit to the west. And so the pond, doesn't really have flow coming in. It's just where the groundwater was intercepted. So there's not a high water velocity. Nonetheless, it was my concern that we need to have some kind of outlet structure here.
And Daniel, for the record, if I read your report correctly, and I know there are some neighbors who have concerns here, but in your view, the applicant did not construct a dam to create the pond. Right?
That's
right.
That's correct. And again, this is a complicated project. I apologize if I missed something. If you look at the report I submitted, the project narrative, I have some aerial photographs from something recent and from something a few years ago. And as far as I can tell, the pond was not increased in size. It was only made deeper. Right. And because the trail is not impounding additional water, I don't think it's technically considered a dam, in my opinion, because it wasn't filled in to raise the level of the water. The water was there, it was dug deeper, and he made a trail. But as far as I can tell, the pond's been there for a long time, in roughly the same size or configuration.
Right, but this is Margaret. There isn't any doubt about him dumping a lot of great big stones in wetlands and watercourse there. So whether you call it a dam or a trail, it was unpermitted fill.
Yes, no, you're absolutely correct. It's hard for me to quantify that for the commission, to give you an exact cubic yard, square foot. You're absolutely correct, Margaret. It's just hard for me to give the commission a number.
What's it going to take for you to put in some kind of, do you have to put in an underground structure for the emergency overflow, or could you just sort of lower a section so that water would have a little spillway, or what's your best judgment on that?
No, that's a great question. Let me go to my second sheet that shows that in more detail. No, that's not it. There we go. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes.
All right, let me zoom in a little bit here. Too much. All right, so I made a second sheet that, again, the first sheet's kind of zoomed out. It's hard to see the detail. And so I made a second sheet that's a little bit easier to read. And so you can see the pond here. At the moment, the water elevation is approximately 499.5. And that was done in April. So I believe that's close to the high water mark. I don't think, again, the pond would get much more full than 499.5. You can see the stones around the south side where the shoreline was hardened. I have a note here to that effect. And here's where I'm proposing an outlet pipe. And then let me scroll down. I have another cross section here. Okay, yeah, this is it. So on the left side, here's the water, the pond, 499.5. Here's the existing stone that was placed. Here is the existing path. And then you can see it slopes back down into the wetlands on that side. And so what I'm proposing is a 6-inch pipe about 3 or 4 inches above the high water mark. And then some additional stone here to prevent any erosion during a flooding, and about an extra foot of fill over the path. And so, in my opinion, I don't want to lower the level of the pond because I think the applicant has a good reason to need water for agricultural purposes. When we go on a site walk, you'll see he has geese, he has swans, he has peacocks, livestock, etc. And so I don't want to lower the pond, but my goal is to prevent any kind of washout or erosion during a big flood. And so that's why I'm proposing this emergency outlet, again, just so that water can pass under the trail and not over it. At the outlet, we are proposing riprap. Again, some stone at the outlet just to prevent erosion as water is exiting the pipe. Again, here's the
It's
path.
Margaret. How much more fill is going to be put on top of the pipe?
So we're raising it about a foot. I don't have a volume at the moment, but I can definitely get that for the commission.
And what's the material going to be?
Processed gravel. And again, if I
And
can
what-
add a
and
note,
what's
I can add a note to that effect.
What's the approximate area in square feet that you're going to add a foot of process?
Hold on, let me pull up my narrative. Okay, I have a bunch of areas outlined on my narrative. Okay, so I talked about minimizing the trail, removing the northern trail, making the southern trail shorter. I apologize. I don't have an exact square footage or cubic yards here, but I can definitely provide that.
Okay. Yeah, the more you could try to quantify various areas where work is proposed, it would and it would be helpful to us to try to get the impression of what happened without permits and what's going to happen now to try to help make it less. One of the things I picked up on what you showed previously with the reducing the width of the trail is that it says loam and seed the trails, and I don't think bringing in any more loam in there is going to reduce any impacts, and I don't really encourage you to show bringing in more loam on the trails. We're trying to eliminate fill, and it's already been between 9,000 and 10,000, possibly more square feet of fill here, and I don't think loaming is the answer to reducing previous wetland alteration.
No, that's a great comment. That's something I'd love to discuss further. Again, this is a very complicated project, a lot of different things. And so I think a site walk with the commission would be extremely helpful. And then Margaret and I can have some discussions before the August meeting. And I think I can get the commission any additional information they would like to see.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Obert.
Yeah, I definitely think another look at this property is in order. And I hear our expert witness saying that it's a complicated project. With all due respect, it's a complicated project because somebody got started on something without knowing what needed to be done, how it should be done, or asking for anybody's opinion. And they just went ahead and created a situation. Now we hear, I can't tell you how much water is being held. I can't tell you that was a dam. If it happened to be right in the stream channel, it's coincidence. So the real complication is because, as often is the case, somebody gets started on something, neighbor complains, we go out and look at it, and it's the more detail we can have on your documents so that you and the applicant and we all understand what is to be done.
I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree at all, Mr. Obert.
No, Margaret raised the same question that I did. How, it's been modified. The applicant apparently wants to keep the water, and it almost, to me, without looking at it and seeing actual numbers, it sounds like, oh, just don't pay attention to that. We'll go on and everything will be better. And I'm having an issue with that, not specifically because of your client, but specifically because of people doing what.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. I agree. Your reasoning is cogent. I think that Daniel is coming to the rescue here, and it is kind of a tangle. And I think if we can, whatever we can do to make it right is we'll try to do.
Yeah, I think myself and the applicant are trying our best to work with the commission. It's a bad situation, but whatever the commission would like to see to make it better, I think the applicant and I are very willing.
This is Margaret. I've got a couple more comments or questions.
Yes, please.
In regards to trying to do any remediation for where he drove the skid steer up and down that first channel, I don't think that any loaming or seeding there is going to help anything, and that the sediments are basically stabilizing themselves with natural vegetation. And so I don't encourage any more work in that stream channel. Also, is there any way you could try to put a number on the northernmost trail where all the chips and fabric are going to come out, so that we could have some kind of a guesstimate of that's a number we could say clearly is going to be removal of alterations that were done, and that it's my understanding that those wood chips are going to be possibly stockpiled in the stockpile area east side of the pond temporarily if he needs to stockpile them. Remember I asked you to show a stockpiling area?
Yes, I think I did show a stockpiling area. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one number I actually can provide to the commission. In my project narrative, I estimate that by removing this trail, we'll reduce the wetland disturbance by 960 square feet.
And then maybe you could come up with a number about reducing the width from 8 feet to 6 feet on the other trail. That ought to be able to be a number that you could provide to us.
Definitely.
And I think Mr. Ferrara actually intends to use a lot of the wood chips in his gardening endeavors. But if the area, if he needs a place to put them temporarily to get him out of the wetlands, at least you showed a proposed stockpile area. Which was helpful. That's all I had to say.
These are all great comments. I'm going to do my best to get everyone answers for the August meeting, and hopefully we can have a productive site walk and kind of put eyes on this and see it a little better.
That would be helpful. So let's schedule that. I think the two dates we're looking at are the 18th or the which would be this coming Saturday, or the 25th. Any later than that is kind of farther out. Either of those dates work?
I can do the 18th.
Can I?
Harley, could you do the 25th?
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry. There was some background
yes.
noise. I couldn't hear myself over the chains.
That's right. So are other commissioners okay with the 25th? Margaret, are you okay with the 25th?
What time?
Well, morning is always best.
What's the earliest we can do in case it's hot again?
For me, it's really 9 o'clock. I could maybe do 8 o'clock if that's not too early for other people.
I could do it either way too, and I expect that since you're coming by here, I'll ride with you, Chris.
Okay.
I can do the 25th as well.
Okay.
What if we say 8:30?
8:30 sounds good.
Okay.
To meet at the site?
Yes.
At 8:30?
At 8:30.
And there may very well be one or two more site visits that morning
That's
after
right.
this.
Okay, and Daniel, that works for you. I should, since we need you. It's- You're muted. You need to unmute.
Thank you, sir. Yep, no, I'm happy to meet whenever.
Okay, good. All right. This has been productive. Thank you all. I think we should move along. We have no permit extensions or changes. We have no applications received after the agenda was posted. Active violations and pending enforcement actions. We have a few of those. The first of which is VIOL 25044. This is Carlos Ferreira, 1036 and 0 Thompson Road, map 118, block 29, lot 17C, and 0 Thompson Road, map 118, block 29, lot 17A. Show cause hearing for wetlands excavated without a permit and for material deposited in wetlands without a permit. I think we have no choice but to continue that show cause hearing pending action on IWA 26033. Which has to wait for the August meeting after our site walk. The next item is VIOL 25071, Justice Resource Institute. These will go pretty fast. 75 Church Street, map 67, block 102, lot 9G. A cease and correct order was issued for construction of a barn and associated grading in the 100-foot upland review area to wetlands without a permit on January 6, 2025. This cease and correct order will remain in force pending approval of WAA 26012, which hopefully we will be able to move on at the August meeting. VIOL 26004, Hani Youssef, 274 Riverside Drive, map 87, block 95, lot 39. Show cause hearing for constructing 3 flights of stairs and landings, an existing 2-story building, and discarding used building materials in the upland review area to the French River without a permit. Margaret, am I right? We're still awaiting a plan for the August meeting.
Right.
Right. So this show cause hearing is also continued. VIOL 26011, 372 Riverside Drive LLC, Jared Hanshaw, Sylvie Perez Hanshaw, owners, 372 Riverside Drive, map 85, block 95, lot 36A, a show cause hearing for work on the 100-foot upland review area to the French River, including construction of an ADA ramp, sonotubes for deck trenching, and backfilling a well line, a 14 by 20-foot addition on a slab, and a 20 by 25-foot smokehouse on a slab without a permit. The wetlands agent approval has been issued. The cease and desist order has been closed. So I am going to ask for a motion to close the show cause hearing on this violation.
I'll make a motion to close the show cause hearing on violation 26011.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Do I have a second on that?
I will.
Thank you. I'm going to do this by voice vote because I think the reasoning is explicit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? If not, the show cause hearing for VIOL 26011 is closed. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is VIOL 26024, Eastwood Thompson LLC and River Mill Redevelopment LLC, 0 Riverside Drive, map 167, block 88, lot 16, and 948 Riverside Drive, map 167, block 88, lot 16A. This is a show cause hearing for depositing and or excavating material in wetlands and watercourses and or the 100-foot upland review area to wetlands without a permit. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen for this one. This would be volume 1. So I need to open that one. Okay. Volume 1. Okay. Let's do this. Here's volume 1. Volume 3, that can close. I'm going to share. And there's volume 1. We'll share that one. Okay, and we're up to page 131. Let me do a continuous scroll here. Oh. Okay. Before I the representative's name in this case, Margaret, can you remind me? And is he here tonight, Mr. Are you there, Margaret?
Michael Licameli, he's with us.
Licameli, that's right. I'm sorry. I couldn't read my own writing and I didn't want to mispronounce it. Before I invite him to speak, could you summarize for us what went wrong here?
Well, there was an approved plan for a solar farm showing a driveway that would run from behind the former Quinn's shirt shop building up to the west, to an area to be cleared for a solar farm with wetlands had been delineated in 2015. And for some reason, they took it upon themselves not to build that road, but to build a road on property, a driveway on property they did not own or have permission to work on. And it was a violation of and exceeded the scope of the approved plan provisions. And that they filled wetlands coming in off of Route 12 just to the south of the building that used to hold my father's table, and more or less across from the southern driveway entrance to what's drafters of the former KFC, Knights of Columbus. And so we had to, both zoning officer and I issued cease and desist orders, and they had put in a stone tracking pad with no curb cut from the Connecticut DOT. And that land where the wetlands were filled is owned by John Gumpert, who also owns the Big River Mill. So they didn't have permission from him even to do this work. And so the scope of activity was greatly exceeded, then did not follow the approved plan.
Right.
And
Okay.
also it looks like the area where they cleared for the solar farm is to the north of that shown on the approved plan.
So in other words, and I'll direct Commissioner's attention to that second full paragraph of your order. It refer to the portion of the approved site plan that depicts the area on 948 Riverside Drive where wetlands were altered, demonstrating that the permittee has not complied with the terms, conditions, or limitations set forth in the license and has exceeded the scope of work as set forth in the application, including the application plans. So that is the issue here. I would invite the applicant to speak if he would like that opportunity and to explain to us why the cease and desist order should not remain in force.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Sure. My name is Mike Licamelli, and Margaret described everything in detail accurately. I guess the first thing I just want to say is I want to apologize for the errors here. There was a compound of errors that we are very much looking to unsort. Part of the issue was going through the wrong entrance because so that's one thing. The other part was in terms of I didn't realize there was a wetlands issue on that entrance area, which is the second thing. And then the third thing is are we in the correct place and everything? We thought what we'd originally done was ask the surveyor to come out and mark the space where we were going to put the solar project. And we thought he had done that. But then the second thing that happened was the buyer of this project that we're working with, they had come in and taken a look at the project, and for siting purposes, they had asked if we could move it over by like 100 feet or something on that side, which added an additional complication. And so at the time, we kind of said, oh, okay, sure, no problem, because we didn't think it was a big deal to move it over a little bit, but it was more involved than that, and so our apologies on that. At this point, we had stopped everything, and we had asked our surveyor to help us, come up with a solution that's fully compliant. for one thing. And then secondly, I had been in touch with Mr. Gumpert a while back, and he reconfirmed, verbally recently that he's in favor and perfectly fine with us having an easement for construction to get the project done on that side. So the problem is we can't make that official until we have a final plan in place that we can give to him and do all the paperwork and that. So I think at this point, I guess, and Margaret, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been in touch with Mr. Archer in the last couple of days. Our request would be to just get you guys a new plan, an updated plan that's compliant, that the surveyor finishes up, and then present it and request that we then be able to continue, assuming it meets all the new requirements. I think, Margaret, is that a fair assessment of where we're at, or
I don't think that the town wants you to have the driveway that you built without any permission. I think you're going to be required to take that stone tracking pad out and remediate those wetlands. If you scroll down further in this order, please, Mr. Chairman, you'll see that you've been required to do some work, and I don't know whether you've started it yet.
No, we didn't do anything yet.
No, I mean, let's read this order here and read through bit by bit with the numbers. It's too small for me to read it, Chris.
Yeah.
So you were ordered to stop excavating material and all the other regulated activities that you did in violation of your permit. And then you were required to next, under item 2, attend this meeting, which you have done. And by July 30th, a land surveyor licensed to work in Connecticut shall replace all missing wetland flags within 100 feet of any site work that's been conducted. How far along are you with that?
I don't think that's been done yet, and but I don't know. I'll have to check with the surveyor, because we asked, we gave him this as well. He has a copy of it as well. We asked him to start this work like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and so I don't know what the status is. But now that
my impression is that there are hundreds and hundreds of wetland flags that needed to be replaced, and that's 2 weeks away from now.
When you say hundreds, I'm just curious. Do you mean for just for that area that I'm just not as familiar with that part of the process, but
let's read it. A land surveyor licensed to work in the state of Connecticut shall replace all missing wetland flags within 100 feet of any site work that has been conducted and within 100 feet of any approved site work shown on the approved plan. There were no wetland flags visible when I went there. So you need to replace all the wetland flags within 100 feet of any site work that's been conducted and within 100 feet of any approved site work shown on the approved plan. So if you look at your plan and get out a scale and color in the area that's 100 feet within those two things, there are a great many flags. And if he hasn't started yet, I don't see you getting into compliance by the deadline. And it sounds like you honestly don't have any idea about what the surveyor has done or is doing at this point.
I asked him to work on this. He said he was going to work on it, and I don't have an update as of this meeting. So, I mean, I'm happy to do a follow-up and check in tomorrow and see, and give you an update as of wherever it is we are, just so we know where we're at. But no, okay, I understand that though.
And by July 30th, you're required to submit a corrective action plan signed by a professional engineer licensed to work in the state. And the goal of the site plan shall be to depict the corrective action for all the unpermitted work that's been conducted. I'm afraid that there was substantial disturbance to wetlands to the west of the area on the driveway on property that you owned. And we need to see how you're going to remediate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll definitely be able to do that. I'll get somebody who can work on that and have that in place by the 30th.
And if you read down further under number 5, it's going to spell out what the corrective action plan prepared by an engineer needs to include.
Mm-hmm.
And that eventually that corrective action plan would have to be approved by the commission, and the remediation work done under a revised order issued by this commission. So I believe at this point, the commission wants to schedule a site walk.
That's right. That's right. And I was going to say to Mr. Licamelli that if given the extent here of what's been done, if more time is required, we can probably arrange that. I will just point out that we're bound by our regulations, and our regulations, section 14, paragraph 4, stipulate that the commission may suspend or revoke a license if it finds that the permittee has not complied with the terms, conditions, or limitations set forth in the license or has exceeded the scope of the work as set forth in the application, including application plans. I'm not saying that we're going to revoke your permit tonight, but the commission does need to conduct a site walk so that the commissioners can see for themselves just what's going on here and can help us to better understand what remediation or what corrective steps you should think about taking. So if it is agreeable to you, we already have a site walk scheduled for the 25th of July, and we could add this site to our list. So Margaret, what time if we're doing the Ferreras at 8:30, what time should we plan to meet here?
9:45, maybe.
Okay.
Between 9:30 and 9:45.
Is that Saturday the 25th?
It is, yeah.
It is. Is it helpful if I mean, would you guys like me there? I'm happy to make an effort to go if that helps.
Ordinarily, the applicant or violator is present.
Okay, I'll make a point to be there.
Able to do that. Thank you. Yes, because we're asking your permission, and it's ordinarily that you would be present. Yes.
And just to be clear, I 100% you have permission to go anytime to look. No problem at all.
That's very good. Thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. And I hope
this is Margaret. I think we should agree on a spot to park, which would be the southern parking lot at Drafters or the former Cave Knights of Columbus across Route 12, and just be very careful crossing Route 12 there because it's a dangerous intersection as it is now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we should put that in the agenda.
To the applicant,
I will.
Perhaps the best thing about you being there is that we can answer questions that help us to understand how the project occupies the land there. So those are the things that we need to be able to show in due diligence when the residents of the town or the state say, how come somebody went and built this road here and built this driveway? So it is the time. It sometimes can be amazing to me at how long of an area a wetland is that needs to be flagged because it is an irregular path, water level. And a lot of times when I'm out there, I'm surprised because I don't see the water, but it's got the vegetation or it's got the soil types. And those are things that your surveyor will know.
Those should be on the original plan.
I remember seeing, I didn't count them, but I remember seeing wetland flags when we were up there.
Interesting.
That was a long time ago, Charlie.
Yeah,
I know. It doesn't matter to me how long ago it was. Nobody had any reason to take them off. And that's the issue that we need to be able to say, well, okay, they took the flags off, but they're all done working in that area. They're not going to go back there. Things can be understood.
This is Margaret. The flags were hung 11 years ago, and they probably just deteriorated and fell off.
Maybe.
They could 11 years ago. Oh my God.
Well, we need them back. So we look forward to seeing this site and to working with Mr. Licamelli to see.
Yeah, and if I could just finish by saying, I apologize again for all the mess ups, and I'm 100% focused on getting, everything restored, properly documented, properly done, so that everything's all buttoned up and fixed up. And I really appreciate your guys' guidance and doing that. And whatever we need to do to make that go, we're happy to do that. And also, since the buyers want the solar project up, whatever remediation we do agree to, we would get done right away. So there wouldn't be any delay.
Well, thank you for your honesty and for your cooperation. We don't get that all the time.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing everyone on the 25th then.
Okay, likewise. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, all set?
All set. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening. We're going to move on to VIL 27027. This is Karen Kernweier and Athena Metaxas, 14 Bull Hill Road, map 44, block 105, lot 31A. This is a show cause hearing for clear cutting vegetation and depositing crushed stone in wetlands and our upland review area without a permit. We have received a report from Joe Thoreau. Is he present, or are the violators present this evening? Is there someone to represent?
No, they're not present, and Mrs. Canoyer said that she needed more time. They aren't required to submit their application for a permit until July 30th.
July
So
30th. So
they
we
are
are
not, but I did tell them that we would be scheduling a site visit tonight, and they were supposed to attend this meeting, but they have chosen not to do so.
So we're going to continue the show cause hearing pending receipt and approval of an after the fact application and a remediation plan by the end of the month, I think is my understanding. And meanwhile, we probably do need a site walk so commissioners can see for themselves what the issues are here. So can we tack that on to the 25th? And
I would say to expect to get to that site at 10:30.
Okay, 10:30. Let's take a note of that. That's good. And at least we'll be finished by lunchtime. Good. Okay. And we'll see what we can do with that.
Could we please take a 5-minute recess?
This is a good time for that. So let's take because I can't do the math. Let's reconvene at 7:55 and see if we can move through our remaining items swiftly. So we are adjourned until 7:55.
Does Gloria have to hit the pause button on the recorder? Or do we just leave?
Be careful what we say.
The Watergate tapes with the 18 minutes of blank space.
Only you and I will well, no, maybe not just you and I, but not everyone in the room would remember that. So now is probably not the time for me to practice my hurdy-gurdy.
Yes, it is.
Always.
I have ordered an amplifier. I never played electric guitar until this past year, and now I have a small amp, but I got one coming in. It's 2 channels, so I can have the guitar and vocals, and it has a lead acid battery as auxiliary power.
Huh.
So you can charge it up and go play by the campfire.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
Well, then, as soon as I got it, we'll do a jam session.
Okay. We can play green and put our hat out.
Chris?
Yes, Commissioner.
Hi, I was sorry to see that somebody had had some kind of an issue by your house that affected your stone wall.
Oh my gosh. This is it's not just someone. So 3 times in the last 3 years, three different people have hit that wall. And in the first 2 instances, so the first person rode up on the wall and came to rest on the telephone pole and abandoned the vehicle and vanished into thin air, despite the attempts to use heat-seeking devices and dogs and all the rest of it. Second time, the person collided with the portion kind of farther east, and she too managed to get what was left of her vehicle down the end to the end of West Thompson Road, where
Mhm.
it finally came to rest, and I think she was picked up by someone. But conveniently, her front bumper remained on the scene, so we had that.
Oh,
And this last time, someone came and hit the wall with such force that he snapped the pole through
right.
our yard and then took out both the existing wall and the wall that I built.
Now, did that damage any damage on your property other than the wall?
Well, when the pole, well, it sent all three sent stones flying. It's
Right.
remarkable how far they will fly.
But the pole didn't fall on anything?
No, the pole was hanging there. So
Oh, okay.
so they came but what it did do is it pulled the wire partly off of it pulled the molding away from our house, and that has
Oh,
yet here. So
yeah, no, that's
these
too bad.
things, these single, this is something I wish somebody would call attention to. There is an epidemic of single vehicle accidents in the quiet corner. And
Hmm.
single vehicle accidents, the causes for those are a little easier to speculate about. And
Hmm.
it seemed that in all three of these cases, the drivers were, let's say, inattentive, to say the least. And
Right.
and it's a real problem.
Hmm.
Just a couple of weeks later, someone coming in the other direction claimed to have fallen asleep at the wheel and went between, the road curves both ways, went
Right.
between the telephone pole, took out our mailbox, missed a tree, and then collided with both of our neighbors' cars that were in his driveway.
Oh, brother. That's really horrid.
So there is just a lot of terrible stuff. And
Yeah.
we've
Well, I'm
enjoyed,
so sorry.
well, thank you. But it's getting a little scary
Hmm.
living on this road. It's people drive much too fast.
Yep.
I don't ride my bicycle anywhere near what I did before I moved up here. The roads are narrow and they're winding, and people are driving too fast. Airline trail, that's great, but it's not finished. And so those are some of the issues that I can relate to. Now you got your hurdy-gurdy. I'm going to suggest you learn a song. It was popular when I was a kid. Jan and Dean's Dead Man Curve.
Okay.
Well, do that with a hurdy-gurdy
Motor.
in
Yeah.
the car and see what it'll sound like.
Yeah. I don't know what redress there is for any of this. Every once in a while, they'll stick a state trooper down at the fire station. Um,
Yeah.
we talked about signage, but it doesn't help if a driver is comatose. They're not going to see the signs either. So
Or if
Well,
they
they could put one now that they have the traffic cameras, they could put a traffic camera there.
yeah, that's true. That's
Because
true.
it is a
Oh,
curve, and if it's attracting that much action, it would
Yeah.
probably be a good thing to do.
if
Yeah.
it's a state road, the state can come in and put them on in town without running by our Board of Selectmen at all. But if it's a town road, we have to probably get a bond passed, and you know how much fun that is.
Yeah.
So
And there's nothing to say you couldn't have a camera pointed at the road
No,
on
that,
your own property.
the camera is, I'll use my Bobcat camera on and just turn it toward
There
the
you
road
go. Yeah, you're
where they, where there are more predators even than there are in the backyard.
oh,
It's discouraging, and
yeah, I would think so. I didn't realize you'd had so many casualties there.
it just causes, and our poor neighbor, both of his cars were totaled. And
Oh, God.
in that pole, now my understanding is that the driver, and we know who the driver was in two of these instances, is liable for the replacement cost of that pole.
Hmm.
Hey,
And,
speaking of airline trail, and group that's likely interested in it, did we get some sort of funding for the airline trail recently? I thought I saw something posted
there's
that
funding, but I think what they're doing is they've got areas that need work, and they've already surveyed them with the Department of Transportation and DEEP, and they're prioritized.
Yeah,
So
the area between Lowell Davis and up the East Thompson is pretty mucky.
It's got trapstone on it. It's tough to ride, and there's more trapstone where it goes under 193.
Mhm.
But as far as I know, they really have not done a study on the Thompson segment. And I'm on the Trails Committee, so I should have known, but I have not heard anything about it specifically. And
Something recently specifically said that of the towns selected for improvement, Thompson was on the list. So I have been very curious as to see what that'll turn into.
that's good to know, but they could use our share of whatever's coming in for a study,
Yeah.
you know? Well, yeah, you need the study. It's just what we were talking about a little while ago with landowner doing work without knowing what should be done. And yeah, we do need a study. Most of us know what needs to be done, but we're not on the payroll and we don't have the rubber stamp to make it go. So they have to have the guy, the team, whoever, conduct a study. It'll take a long time.
I'm enjoying this conversation, but it's 7:56, so we should probably reconvene. Is Margaret back?
Yes.
Yeah, and Ms. Clark is reminding me that the meeting was supposed to reconvene at 7:55, and she is absolutely. So the next item on the agenda is a review of Connecticut DEEP Sidewalk Guidelines, which Margaret shared with me, and I found enlightening. I don't know if commissioners have all had an opportunity to review this document. I suggest that you do. I wanted quickly to, since it's getting hot, and I'd like to move us toward the adjournment here, that I'd like to highlight what I found noteworthy, and if there are any questions or cause for discussion, we can spend a little time with that. So the salient points, from what I can tell, is that before any site walk, permission from the property owner has to be obtained to enter the property, and notice has to be given to the applicant, the property owner, if they're the same, and any interveners, those would be complainants or concerned neighbors, so that they have the opportunity to be present and observe the site walk. Minutes are important, so they can be made part of the record and be provided to the applicant and any interveners. There are, and I know we've gone back and forth on this, apparently there are 4 strategies for conducting a site walk. And they are, I'm going to scroll down here. They are as follows. We can each conduct a site walk separately. And that after, again, notice has been provided to all parties. So we can't do this without obtaining permission from the landowner and allowing that person to know that we are going to be there. In a case like this, it is not a formal meeting of the commission, but it is necessary that each member report at the next regularly scheduled meeting his or her observations. So in effect, you get separate minutes, which can be cumbersome. The second model, if we can see that, is where 2, or this says, or 3 individuals of the agency conduct a site walk. In this case, the idea is that the group does not comprise a quorum. In our case, that would have to be less than 3. It would have to be 2 or 1. And so it is not a formal meeting, but it is still necessary that all of the agency members conducting the walk report back to the commission at its next regularly scheduled meeting what was observed during the walk, because these are the bases on which we're making decisions. The third is the one that we practice, I think, most commonly, and that's a quorum of the agency. That would be 3 or more. In this case, as always, notice has to be provided to all of the parties as well as to the public. So this is that has to be posted. Minutes have to be taken, and unrestricted intervener attendance has to be allowed as well as public attendance. So if a quorum is present, the property owner, if the property owner, and this is a little hard to sort out, decides to deny access to interveners or the public, we cannot hold a meeting with a full quorum of the commission. It cannot be a formal meeting, right? There's a tension there. So for that reason, strangely, I find these guidelines suggest that a quorum of the agency should avoid conducting a site walk if the property owner restricts site access. That is, it would be better to send fewer members of the commission. One point that is stressed in these guidelines is that it is the importance of avoiding discussions other than those needed for orientation and location of items reflected on site plans. And the importance that all discussion be conducted in such a way that everyone in attendance can hear what questions are asked and what answers are provided. Everyone in attendance, so no private discussions. And then finally, the fourth model, if you will, is what we would ordinarily call an inspection, and that is when the agency staff, in this case, Margaret, who's a non-voting member of the agency, conducts a site walk. This does not entail an agency meeting, though it still requires that permission be secured from the property owner. And again, these guidelines stress the site walks are no more than opportunities for site orientation, and no discussion regarding the merits of any application should take place. We should also probably be more careful than we are sometimes of making suggestions to applicants or violators about what they might do to please us, for lack of a better way of putting it, because that could be taken or mistaken as a promise that if they do X, Y, and Z, the application will be approved or the violation will be closed. And that kind of thing. We don't want to be making or implying any promises at these site walks, just in case things go the other way. So I don't want to take any more time with this, but Margaret and I both thought, and I know the first selectman thought, it would be important to review these guidelines. Are there any questions about these or comments or any discussion anyone would like to have before we move on? I'm sorry to be so long-winded about that, but
This is Margaret. I'd
Thanks,
like
Margaret.
to just revisit the second paragraph on the first page where it says site walks are not an opportunity to ask questions of or participate in discussions with an applicant or any of the applicant's experts that pertain to the merits of the application or that evaluate various alternatives. So I think what we should do is we should each bring a little notepad with us if we do group site walks and write down any questions we have on there and bring those questions to the following commission meeting, and that is the appropriate time to ask such questions.
Right. Well, there are questions that can be asked at site walks, if I understand this document, but they're limited to questions about the site and
About orientation, right? But we often those kind of questions very, very, very often come up. I would say more as the norm than not, and so from now on, people should bring a little piece of paper or notebook and write the questions down, and then the appropriate time to ask them is at the following meeting.
Right. Right. And we can't control what the applicant or the violator says or asks, but we can be very careful about how we respond to those comments and questions as well. So good. This is just a little corrective. Any other comments? If not, we are, and we're into new business now, I guess. Item 2 is 0 Aquatic Town Farm Road, Aquatic Camping Area, Incorporated Map 141, Block 17, Lot 184. So this is an update on the situation here that we have discussed previously. And you'll recall that you all, the commission, asked me as the chairman to draft and send a letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I did, regarding this site where there appeared to be some clearing and some excavation going on in close enough proximity to a wetlands and a watercourse that it seemed to me, viewing the site, that we that there could be some wetlands impacts. Those wetlands and the watercourse were not delineated, so we couldn't make sure of that at the time when I inspected. I did send that letter. I've sent it to all of you. These are the photographs accompanying it. What you're seeing now is a letter from the zoning enforcement officer to addressed to Mr. Rawson, instructing him that he, in effect, a cease and desist order, instructing him to apply for a special permit, which would also have required wetlands approval. Apparently, at the June 22nd meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the commission voted to overrule the zoning enforcement officer and to rescind the cease and desist order for reasons that are not altogether clear to me. From what I could tell, again, I don't know if people had an opportunity to review this, but I'm going to make this a little larger. So there, and I may just not be understanding this, that the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission recollected they had discussed the extraction total. There was some issue about the amount of material being extracted here as a yearly threshold, which I believe is incorrect. My understanding is that the regulations were revised so that it is a cumulative threshold. The first selectman who was present at this meeting encouraged the commission not to rescind the cease and desist order, but to instead rely on the physical evidence. The claim was made that the cease and desist order could not be issued unless there was wetlands impact, which may in fact be the case. The reasoning then was that the gravel extracted was only being used to maintain the campground roads, and that it be grandfathered in. I'm summarizing now, and so as instructed by the commission, the ZEO then rescinded the cease and desist order, asking Mr. Rawson, I guess, to file quarterly extraction totals. What's the concern here is that had Mr. Rawson been required to apply for a special permit, wetlands review would also have been required, but they appear not to be allowing for that. So I'm sharing this with the commission, and Margaret is passing this along. I'm not sure what our options are at this point. I don't think it's going to do anything for me to draft yet another letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't know if any wetlands commissioners have any comments about this or any suggestions. It's if anyone is out there, it's kind of like international relations. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Inland Wetlands Commission are
Chairman Dustin, this is
seem to have reached a new low in our relationship. Yes, Commissioner Langer.
Commissioner Langer. I do believe that at one point in time we were trying to go back out there again, and did we actually schedule that and get access, or did that fall by the wayside?
Well, our wetlands enforcement officer has been denied access to this property.
Right.
The question would be under what pretext we request a site visit, because the property owner is not being required to apply for a permit and which would ordinarily then have triggered a wetlands review.
So then I guess my question is going back in history to when you did have the opportunity to visit and you had the tape measure, understanding that there was no delineation or flags out there, it was just a good faith experiential evaluation that you were making at the time. Was there, in your expert opinion, from your experience, is there wetlands that is going to be damaged or could be damaged based on the amount of work that's being done? Or was it just on the edge and we're splitting hairs as to a 100-foot line and where that flag would eventually go and where the 100-foot tape would be?
Well, I'll speak for myself as let's say, an informed amateur, but not an expert by any means.
Fair enough.
And mindful that as we've all learned, that wetlands are delineated by soil type, not by whether they're wet, or even by whether they're supporting the kind of vegetation like skunk cabbage associated with wetlands. The situation struck me as honestly too close to call. And my concern here is that, as I said in my letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission, anyone else in the town of Thompson who was conducting this kind of activity in such close proximity to wetlands would be required to delineate the wetlands and to demonstrate to us that there was no encroachment. And in this case, the property owner is being given a pass, it seemed to me. And I find that problematic. It may just be that that's the situation.
And I guess the second follow-up to that would be, if we're not able to actually take a dimension from a flag or any delineation, the most current or the active wetlands maps that we have, if those are overlaid against what we visually see as the amount of work that's being done on that piece of property, does that provide any other area of concern? Does that validate a concern, I guess is my question.
Well, here I'd have to defer to Margaret, because it seems to me the question would be, so if you get the wetlands overlay, but do we have the most up-to-date visual record of the work that has, the clearing that has actually, the extent of the clearing that's actually been done, or could potentially be done? I mean, that's an added concern, right?
This is Margaret. If I may add something, the first selectman feels strongly that the areas closest to Aquatic Town Farm Road, which would be the east side of the property, were of most concern relative to wetlands shown on the maps, both to the north and the south of the clearing, and also a 20-foot cut, he said, had been made that draws attention to the fact that no one has done any testing for seasonal high water table, and there are clearly activities that require permits from the Planning and Zoning Commission are going on, in that there's screening being done there. And so it appears as though, well, like Chris said, that basically this owner is being given a pass after an inspection was done by Chairman Lenke and Cindy, who met with the owner in a site walk that was not open to the public.
Right.
I have a question and comment. First of all, the comment is that the term you used was appropriate. We're amateurs, but amateurs well-informed. And anyway, the word amateur doesn't mean hack. It means you do it because you love it. But if all that this town has to fill the positions such as ours are amateurs, there still has to be somebody who knows what the real rules have to be. we don't have any say over how many yards of gravel an operation might mine out, but we've recently seen where somebody dug out so much that they created wetlands.
Mhm.
How long ago was this wetlands application approved? Honestly, if the property, this is the one on Baker Road and Aquatic Farm Town Road? Because I
Yes,
couldn't even see it from Aquatic Farm Town Road. I drove all the way up the road and back before I even spotted it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's kind of close to the French River, but it seemed to me that if their application was a mining application and it was no wetlands, well, we still should have looked at it, and I don't remember it. I don't, how long ago was it? I've been on the commission for a long time.
I think, Charlie, there is no permit for mining.
Okay, no permit for mining? Don't you need to have one?
This is Margaret. There was never any application.
Right.
It's just part of that same ongoing issue that we've had with other gravel miners or with this man at other sites. If
Exactly.
they're playing fast and loose with the regulations because they know that nobody's here to enforce them.
Right.
Well,
Well,
we can get angry about it, but we don't have the resources to go after them, do we? And if a guy's permitted to go and dig into the ground and pull out all this stuff with no oversight, how can we go in now?
well, that is the question. And for me, it is fundamentally a question of fairness. And I'll say again, I mean, the burden is on the property owner to demonstrate that there are no negative wetlands impacts. And it is not on us to go in there and to do the detective work. And while I can't delineate wetlands confidently, I do know what the rules are. And we try to apply them to everyone fairly and equally.
But
And
that's the point that I was asking. It sounds to me like a gravel miner in this area did an operation without needing any application or any permit approved. That's what it sounds like.
the Planning and Zoning Commission sees fit not to require one in this case. In this individual case, I again won't speculate as to the explanation for that. But this isn't
We are not authorized to go in after the fact. Now, if a neighbor complained that operations were going into the wetlands, we could go in and look at it.
Right.
We've done that before.
Mhm.
But we need to be responding to a complaint, and I don't know how this came back up onto the topic board. It was like 5-6 months ago we started talking about it again, and
Yeah. Well, I will go out on a limb, and this has gotten me into trouble in the past. But since it is Bastille Day, I think the problem is that the Planning and Zoning Commission needs to do what it is supposed to do and apply the regulations fairly, and in equitable ways, and that's not being done in this case.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I speak on behalf of myself before you all tear me apart?
I think, Gary, well, it's actually not you, it's our friends in the Planning and Zoning.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
But
You're,
yes,
you're completely wrong. You don't know the zoning regulations, and you've torn me apart for 10 minutes and not allowed me to speak on my behalf.
well, I'm allowing you to speak now.
Zoning regulations in the town of Thompson, written by the zoning members, say I can excavate 1,500 cubic yards per year without a permit. Regardless of how people are reading this, I don't know. It's not my problem. I went to the people that wrote the regulations, and they wrote the regulations with the assumption that it is per year. I have never even come close to 1,500 yards per year. I have not even gone over 500 yards per year. I am completely within my rights to what I am doing and what I did. So please don't say that the zoning department gave me a pass. Nobody gave me a pass. The only one that came after me was not a neighbor, was not a resident, was not a taxpayer. It was your wetland agent who came after me and wrote me up for zoning. No neighbor has ever complained. This gravel operation has been here since 1959. Long before there was a wetland department, long before there was a zoning department. Not one neighbor has complained, not one anything has happened until Miss Washburn came to Thompson and has written four, I repeat, four cease and desist on this property and has lost every single one of them. She's been told by the last selectman to apologize to me personally for attacking me, which never happened, by the way. Okay? And quite frankly, I am tired of being targeted by the wetland department. I spent the last 2 months in the zoning meetings, and I got a 9-0 vote, 9-0 vote approval that I am doing nothing wrong. And you still say that I got a pass from the zoning department.
Well, duly noted. Thank you.
You were here. You were here. The reason I did not allow Miss Washburn on my property is because when she came to do an inspection on another customer on Mr. Mooney's property, by the way, I see him in the meeting, while she was here, she attacked me on 2 other violations that eventually I had to fight again, and they were rescinded and thrown out, and she was told to apologize to me. So no, I am not letting her back on my property because she doesn't look at what she's supposed to look at. She looks at everything else to find something wrong. She's 0 for 4. I'm
Well,
tired of this. I've had enough.
I can tell, and that is your right to deny anyone access to your property.
And on top of that, she's
but
the
the-
complainant. She is the complainant. Why would I let the complainant on my property? She's not a neighbor, she's not a resident, and she's not a taxpayer.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. And I think what we should do at this point is that I think there may be some disagreement as to what the zoning regulations actually say, but I am going to go back and look at them myself. And if I am wrong, then it will be my turn to apologize. But my understanding of the regulations as they were revised not long ago is perhaps different, and perhaps I'm wrong.
So
But
please go back to the last zoning meeting. Okay? The
Well,
gravel operation rules were written by Mr. Brian Santos. They looked at Mr. Brian Santos. What is your intention of reading this rule? And he said per year.
right. Well,
And 9-0 vote. Okay, it wasn't even 5-4, 6-3, 7-2, 9-0 unanimous vote in 2 seconds that I did nothing wrong. And you're still coming after me.
got it. Well, we've been looking at these regulations before in other cases, and there does seem to be some ambiguity there, as was noted in the planning and zoning minutes.
And it was cleared up by the members who were voted in by the public.
That's right. That's right. Okay, thank you. Your contribution is welcome, as always, and is helpful. I think we do need to move on. This is only an update. There's no action being taken here tonight. And thank you for further updating us.
Chairman, can I ask a quick question here?
Who is Commissioner
This
Corso?
is Commissioner Corso. Given that we have consistently seen issues with the volume of material being removed leading to impacts of wetlands and groundwater, not necessarily considering Mr. Rawson's property here, but just the trend that we are seeing, do we have the ability to consider bylaws or things within our realm of purview that require additional review for these larger projects because they are impacting our wetlands and groundwater?
Well, that would be a question for Margaret, whether we are always free to revise our regulations and whether it would be possible, whether it would be appropriate to include regulations that cover cases like this. I don't have the experience Margaret has, but that's an interesting and helpful suggestion. Thank you. Margaret, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't think so, not right now, but I'll give it some thought.
Okay, as I said, this isn't going away.
It's a loaded topic, and I wouldn't expect an answer right now, but it does seem to be a trend that we are running into quite frequently.
You're absolutely right.
Comment to Greg. If it's an open application that the Wetlands Commission approved, as long as work is being done, we have the right to go and look at what's going on. If it's a project like the one that Mr. Rawson just talked about, begun in 1959 and done X number of pounds of yards of material per year, 1959, no wonder I didn't remember it. I was just moving to Veracruz. But
Well, actually, Charlie, that's irrelevant. I mean, whatever the regulations say now, those are the rules we play by. We don't grandfather things in.
no, I didn't think that I was asking to grandfather. I was just saying that a big project that we had never had any authority to look at, I don't think we have authority to look at it now.
Right. I think
I
particularly
tried to say that when I raised my earlier comment.
And I can discuss this with Margaret about the seasonal high groundwater is that I'm wondering if that's something we can include in our own regulations, because I think currently that's the responsibility of planning and zoning. And that is not something that commission is consistently requiring, as I understand. But I'm gonna move on now to VIOL 25055, a little less contentious item. Rivermill Redevelopment LLC, John Gumpert, 915 Riverside Drive, map 167, block EA, lot 1. Another update, and the update is that this is done, and that this violation is closed, and the remediation is in our wetlands enforcement officer's view is fully satisfactory. The next item on the agenda is IWA 19013. This is David Gagnon, 25 Lakeview Street, Assessors Map 116, Block X, Lot AB, construct a new single-family home, informal discussion with developer. And so I don't know if Daniel is still here. I know he's working on this. I don't know if Mr. Wright is here.
I'm here.
Wonderful.
Custom Builders.
It's a discussion. It's an informal discussion. So I'm going to turn it over to you to let us know what you're contemplating here.
Okay, thank you. Bradley Wright, Custom Builders LLC. I have this property under agreement. It's a vacant lot, and I have a wetlands. David Gagnon has a wetlands permit dated 2019. Margaret and I've discussed a little bit because the flood zone has changed. So what I'm looking to do is I'm thinking modify the plan. I think we can move the house out of the flood zone line, which you have it in front of you, by either shifting the house a little bit to the left, because the setbacks now are 10 feet. In 2019, the side yard, front yard, and everything was 25 feet. And also I've talked to the architect about moving the proposed garage 10 feet towards the street, which would help also with the grading and wetlands to the right. I guess a couple questions I have is the proposed deck. That's obviously a couple feet into the flood zone. A deck's an issue with the piers being in the flood zone, or a patio? That's a question I'm just curious about.
So is what we are looking at now, is this the re-envisioned plan?
Is
that the original?
No, that one's not showing. I'm looking at the approximate flood. No, there should be
another one that I could perhaps call up here.
Yeah, this one's showing that the updated zone A flood zone.
Let me see if I can find the better one. Is it 6? Is it 5? Okay. All right. Let me try this one.
Okay.
There.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
So you can see right now, just the right corner of the garage is in the flood zone. But once again, either a combination of shifting the house to the left plus moving the garage, pulling the garage 10 feet towards the street would get out of the flood zone. If not, we could obviously maybe shift the house towards the street because setbacks, as I said, have changed. So pretty much the structure's out of the flood zone as we speak. And once again, my question, which of course Danny would answer, about the proposed deck or patios, can they be in the flood zone? Is I guess a question whether you have an answer or not.
It seems, and this is Margaret, the easiest way to try to keep everything out of the flood zone is if you just move things 10 feet towards the road so that the corner of the garage is not in the flood zone, then it would become a non-issue. And I kind of thought that was the gist of the whole, the of the concept of asking to have this approved as a modification was to just get stuff out of the revised flood zone.
Yes, definitely, and that's my objective. And what, as I said, either shifting the house or just pulling the garage forward. The entire structure will be out of the flood zone. And then the only other issues that when this was approved in 19 was that they wanted riprap along the shore, which personally I don't know why you'd want me to dig up the water bank to put riprap. So
No, right. Let's not armor the shore if we can help it.
Oh, okay. So besides getting the whole house out of the flood zone, which I know we can do, the only other thing would be, as it says, demolish and remove existing concrete wall. I'd like to just leave everything along the shoreline the way it is. So I'd want to delete that note and delete the riprap note.
Excellent.
And the septic system is approved. If we don't move it, it's they've already said that it's an approved septic and it's fine, designed for 3 bedrooms. So my whole objective would be just to submit a modification and show that the entire structure is out of the flood zone.
Now, Brad, this is Margaret. Is there any chance that you foresee if you move the garage up that you could reduce any of the amount of wetland filling shown there?
Yeah, I think, and obviously that would be a Daniel question. I saw Daniel's very popular with this commission, and I was hoping he was going to hang around, but that's something he and I would go over. I'm sure it would reduce it significantly, and I think maybe if we could also shift the house to the left, a combination of both, shifting the house plus pulling the garage 10 feet off there would help significantly with everything on the right side of the house. Yes.
I would say that reducing the amount of wetlands filled and getting the structure out of the flood zone and taking away any hardening of the shoreline is all things that I would certainly support, and I believe the commission members would.
I concur with that.
One thing that is a gray area to me, and I think Daniel, all of us need to know, is whether the approved septic system is still in compliant with today's regulations, because I think the regulations, I'm not sure to what extent the regulations may have changed since 2019 when this was approved 7 years ago.
I have an email from Maureen and DH called, and I will get. She's already reviewed it and said nothing's changed, everything's fine. It's nothing needs to be done with the septic system.
Wonderful.
I have a question, just because this topic is
Commissioner Over, you just identifying
the flood zone and the 100-foot wetlands review area are equal. I mean, is the flood zone further away from the water edge now? How does that factor in? This is the first application that I remember since we've had all that discussion about outlining and defining the flood zones.
As far as the delineation of the flood zone line?
Well, I guess I was asking Margaret, is the flood zone line, it's not necessarily equal to the 100-foot review area. It would be wherever the water gets to because of the surrounding topography. If there's a flood.
Where is the 100-foot review area in this plan? Brad, can
you zoom in on it a little bit? I can't read anything on it.
Because I'm seeing the 100-foot wetlands, the flood zone's actually into the structure where the 100-foot wetlands is not. It's right at the corner of the garage, if I'm reading the plan correct.
Right.
Well, I can tell you this, the upland review area is the line parallel to the edge of the wetlands 100 feet away. So my guess is that the entire lot is just about the entire lot is in the upland review area, and that's why it's not shown.
I think it's this right here. Does that make sense or not?
No,
that's a contour.
If you see where the word says proposed 3-bedroom house and go straight up from that, you'll see the proposed deck, and there you'll see the 100-foot line coming
right.
from.
Well, that's the flood zone. But Charlie, these are wetlands right here.
Well, this says approximate 100-foot flood zone.
Right, but that's about 100 feet from the wetlands. That's
okay, but
0
feet from the water's edge.
Exactly. Right.
Wetlands are under that deck that's closest to the lake. That's what. So it's a line 100 feet from that wetland corner that's on the clips the
way back here somewhere.
Right.
I guess what we're seeing, folks, is that what I'm seeing is that the 100-foot wetland review area, upland review area, is not equal to, and nor does it have to be equal to, where a flood might occur.
That's right.
The flood will go over the wetlands, no problem. And if there's nothing built in the wetlands, no real economic loss, or flooding problems that could be pushed downstream.
Right.
Erosion control.
So the upshot here is that this is a modification of the original plan, but it strikes me as, dare I say, better in a couple of respects, in that you're moving the house farther out of what is now the new flood zone, newly mapped flood zone.
Correct.
And you're not going to harden the shore.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So Mark, what do we have to do tonight?
Sorry, we're not acting on this tonight. This is an informal. I think that what Mr. Wright is asking for is some indication of, and I was going to ask Margaret, could this be considered a modification?
I would like to say yes, and I also would like to ask if, Chris, you could show the site inspection photographs I took this week to try to help this conversation along.
Okay, and those are back in, are those back in volume 1, I think?
I don't think so, because I did this inspection.
So are they here?
In the last few days.
I've just got one here. So these are.
It might be in with the first cluster of documents for this site, wherever they were in the Zoom docs.
They were in one.
Okay.
Okay, so they're here.
I did this inspection the same day I did 3 Center Street, because I was in the neighborhood. So towards the end of 1, perhaps. Is this the original plan?
Yeah, it is.
This might show the upland review area. Honestly, I'm not sure they required it to be shown.
Yeah, I don't see any more here. Let me see if I can get what you're asking for. There you go.
There it was. Yep. Yeah. My inspection report, and
trying to make it bigger.
The piece of the lot that's closest to the road is very high and dry. Mm-hmm. And the upper, if you scroll up, the photo of the shoreline taken from the boat launch that shows that it's it right there, that's very wet. That's looking from the boat launch across the front of lot 25 Lakeview Street.
Right.
So there's a lot of pitch to the lot, and the part of the lot closest to the road is much higher than down where the floodplain is. And that's the old flood map that basically showed the edge of the pond was the flood zone.
Right.
And with the proposed house, if I may, it's a walkout basement, so we're gonna take advantage of the topo of the land, so grading is minimal. Obviously, it's not a full foundation, be a walkout foundation. Probably a lot of the left side and definitely the whole rear of it would be a walkout.
And is this I don't know what this is. That's the flood zone. Okay.
I just hope that Daniel's able to prepare your plan and the timeline that can help you move forward under the situation you're in with your purchase and sales agreement.
Well, I'm hoping so too. But
sorry, go ahead, Brad.
No, I was just going to say, as far as the house plans, my architect, I'm sure, can at least show that garage being moved back, which Daniel will have to put on a new plot plan anyway. So, yeah, Daniel will be the key to how quickly we can get this all set up for you.
Yes, he is the key to so many things.
Yes, he's a busy young man, isn't he?
Okay, very good. I hope this was helpful. It was helpful to us, and I think we're prepared to go ahead with that. I'd like to move on, if we can, to DEC 25068. This is Phil LeBlanc.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, thank you for your help. 295 Linehouse Road, map 55, lot 69A, lot 3A. Deep in a small pond for raising shiners, connected to a larger man-made pond with a pipe screened at both ends. All disturbed areas will be seeded with wildflowers. This one is also done to Margaret's satisfaction, and I want to thank her for stewarding this and Mr. LeBlanc for his cooperation. This is one that we worked hard on. This brings us to citizens' comments. Are there any comments that members of the general public would like to share at this time? If not, we move on to budget and expenditures. Anything, our treasurer is here.
Excuse me.
Oh, Ms. Clark, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, my hand, you didn't give me time to raise my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Valerie Clark, Alm Road. Feeling compelled tonight, having sat through this meeting. When you were discussing the guidelines from, I believe it was the state of Connecticut, for site walks and how they should be, and the decorum with which they should be conducted.
Mm-hmm.
That decorum, and I've talked about this for years in this particular inlands wetlands meeting, that decorum also applies to this meeting. And it is a matter of perhaps perception, but you need to make sure you avoid that perception when what is implied is that there was or was not a sufficient amount of food, beer, pizza, access to an entertainment venue that was being proposed. I've heard it all in this meeting. And
I'm sorry, in this meeting tonight?
In this meeting that the Inlands Wetlands Commission has conducted over the years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've heard it all. I have heard requests for personal and public access to private property that would be implied as a condition of approval. I have heard all kinds of things that can be very much misinterpreted. And tonight, more than 5 times I counted where people referred to the preferred engineer that you use. So I would suggest that this commission take the advice of the state of Connecticut and apply it to this meeting. And I also would suggest that this commission not comment on people's characters during the meeting and their feelings about that. It is inappropriate, and that they also respect the other commissions and their decisions, which were made very wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. I look forward to a thorough review of the recording of this meeting to verify if that language was indeed used as frequently as you suggest it was. Back to the budget. Does our treasurer have anything to comment on? I see that the payment to ECCD was made. Anything else noteworthy?
Oh, this is our last installment for the calendar year, and we're running at 98.7%. So we efficiently used our dollars that were allotted in our last budget, and we also carried some of the items that were not allocated based on some budget changes. So next year we should be in good shape as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
What about that then? Since the referendum was voted down, have we been asked to scale back our budget at all?
Not as of yet.
Well, I've heard the word freeze, but not melt.
Okay, I just remember that every year when we get to the point to start talking about a budget, it seems like one of the first comments is, can we cut anything? Trying to be as frugal as possible, and we're still getting clipped.
Well, we seem to be doing a pretty good job with this.
Oh.
And so everyone remembers.
Yes and no. Chris, yes and no, because we talk about lacking expertise to be able to answer questions accurately and correctly. We don't have people that can really help expedite all these issues that come back up and again and again. And I don't know how much of it is because the town doesn't have an awareness of how important somebody like Margaret is to a town like this. Well-trained, competent professionals in each of our agencies is the very least that we should have.
Yeah, I understand you better now, and I agree completely. There are ways in which we could receive more support. We'll hope for that. I'm mindful of the hour, so I'm going to move on to correspondence. We have SUBD 26001, Mountford Construction, 437 Aquatic Road, map 145, lot 14, lot 5, Killingly Engineering Associates, letter re conservation easement markers. Everything is now in order with this letter. And so that is what it made it possible to sign off on the Mylar for Mountford Construction, 437 Aquatic Road, map 145, lot 14, lot 5. So this is another one that's well done. Any comments by commissioners?
I'm good.
If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Is that Commissioner Morano? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think not. It's been a somewhat longer night than I thought it would be, but thank you all for staying the course. I applaud your the work you do, and in many ways. So
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye now.